Just a second ago, Qing Xiaoyu was being mercilessly beaten by a giant serpent, but in the next, he managed to strangle the serpent to death with his bare hands. This was a monster that even several hunters together could not contend with. Yet Qing Xiaoyu could easily break its defense with just a broken sword. This all started when he entered a unique underground dungeon. Suddenly, a magic wolf leaped out from behind Qing Xiaoyu, and he unexpectedly found his body exceptionally agile. As the magic wolf launched an attack, Qing Xiaoyu, in a moment of desperation, chose to confront it head-on and surprisingly sent the magic wolf flying with a punch. However, given his current low level, his continuous attacks couldn't inflict substantial damage. Without a healer in the team, having a powerful weapon might have given him a chance to fight. Suddenly, Qing Xiaoyu seemed to remember something and opened his inventory to take out a treasure sword. Although he didn't know why it was there, Uncle Jean had said the sword cost 3 million, but now was not the time to worry about that. As another magic wolf appeared menacingly behind him, the treasure sword in his swing was firmly bitten by the magic wolf. At this moment, Qing Xiaoyu exerted his strength, and in the next second, the magic wolf was sent flying. Another magic wolf, terrified, decided to flee upon realizing the situation was dire. At this time, Qing Xiaoyu noticed his level had increased to level 2. Knowing that completing daily tasks wouldn't earn experience, it seemed that leveling up through actual combat was faster. With each level up, all attributes would also increase slightly. Although he wasn't sure how much growth a little would bring, he could definitely feel a change in himself. He then discovered that magic stones didn't drop from magic wolves. Instead, their teeth were the substitute. Just then, the shop system popped up, but he couldn't make any purchases due to his insufficient level. He had no choice but to sell the teeth for a high price of $20 each. At this moment, the magic wolf that had fled returned with its pack for revenge. After eliminating the last magic wolf, the system awarded him the title of Slaughterer, 34 wolf teeth, 2 old short swords, a set of traveler's attire, and a return stone. Thinking this adventure was over but worried about missing the chance to become stronger, he struggled internally before deciding to venture deeper. As his level continued to rise, he could kill any monster in one hit, and the color of the monsters' names changed. Red indicated formidable strength, orange meant strength was comparable, and white signified weakness. Although Qing Xiaoyu's level was continuously increasing, he still wasn't confident about defeating the deepest boss. Moreover, his level had reached its limit, and his treasure sword showed cracks at this critical moment. Yet, he chose to face the challenge head-on. Upon entering the last layer, a giant serpent emerged from the dark river, hitting Qing Xiaoyu against the wall before he could react, and his only treasure sword was shattered. Noticing the serpent was covered in scales, he realized his broken sword probably couldn't inflict any damage. He had to find a way to weaken the serpent's defense, but the serpent made no mistakes, pinning Qing Xiaoyu against the wall, rendering his resistance futile as he watched the serpent approach. Perhaps only with overwhelming power could he stand above millions of lives. His long-suppressed emotions erupted at this moment, determined to become stronger no matter what.
強くなんなきゃいけないんだよ。中心に鍛え上げた。今の俺ならお前は俺がやる。
At this time, the system awarded him a short sword, with an attack power double that of the previous treasure sword and additional paralysis and bleeding effects. He also received Caesar's iron scales, reducing all physical damage by 20%. Subsequently, the dungeon returned to its original state. However, when he exited the subway station, he found the surroundings eerily silent. Suddenly, a soldier appeared, noticing Qing Xiaoyu's hunter identity, and immediately took him to the scene. Along the way, seeing numerous monster corpses, Qing Xiaoyu realized a portal had been unsealed. Not far away, a tank was under attack by Malphite, but the ADC behind was merely scraping by. Qing Xiaoyu quickly assessed the situation, suspecting the team had just formed with no synergy. He then spotted a familiar figure in the team, Xiao Shi, who had escaped from the double-layered dungeon with him. However, the fear instilled by the statues hadn't faded. Qing Xiaoyu knew if he didn't act, all hunters would perish here. Moreover, the Malphite in front of him was weaker than the giant serpent. He then charged his broken sword and threw it.
突き破る強力な一撃を食らえ。
breaking Malphite's defense with continuous attacks from the hunter team. Malphite fell to the ground. The tank knew their attacks were merely scratching the surface and couldn't break Malphite's defense. Turning around, all he saw was the broken sword thrown by Cheng Xiaoyu.
あれ誰が投げたんですか
The man was just trying to earn his rent by joining a raid team, only to be trapped and left to die in the dungeon by those blinded by greed. Little did they know, he was one step closer to becoming the Shadow King. Just now, Cheng Xiaoyu, as usual, completed his daily tasks. After several days of continuous improvement, Cheng Xiaoyu's body had undergone significant changes. Not only did he now have an 8-pack, but he also became more handsome. Even the nurse couldn't resist the charm of such a handsome man and immediately wanted to add Cheng Xiaoyu on social media.
退院後に検査結果でも送ってくれるのかな
It seems that the next attribute points need to be allocated to improve his emotional intelligence. After being discharged and returning home, his sister also noticed the change in her brother, mistaking it for a second puberty. After his sister left, only Cheng Xiaoyu knew that just a few days of exercise wouldn't change his physique. It must be the system affecting his body. He then opened the system panel to allocate the remaining points. To increase damage, he needed to increase strength, but agility was also essential for hitting targets. Stamina is naturally better the higher it is, and perception is very important. As for intelligence, it was not needed for the time being, so he increased his strength, agility, and perception. At this moment, the landlord called to remind him about the rent, putting Cheng Xiaoyu in a difficult position. To earn money, he needed to venture into more advanced dungeons, but as an E-rank hunter, such dungeons were basically out of his reach. Moreover, he was unsure if he had undergone a second awakening. Thinking of getting re-examined to check his level, if it really was a second awakening, he could enter advanced dungeons, and his income might increase. However, a second awakening would surely cause a sensation, as such individuals are extremely rare. Moreover, he became stronger as his level increased. Once exposed by the media, he might become the target of some people. At this moment, an invitation from a raid team popped up on his phone. So, Cheng Xiaoyu decided to complete a 10 kilometers run. Then, the raid team approached him, and the leader, Old Huang, immediately recognized Cheng Xiaoyu as the weakest human weapon and scolded him. He then handed over a contract stating that no complaints could be made in case of an accident. It turned out Cheng Xiaoyu was just there to make up the numbers. The raid was for a C-rank dungeon, and half of the 8-person team could enter because they were C-rank. Cheng Xiaoyu's combat power was not considered part of the team, and he would not share in the loot. Cheng Xiaoyu was only offered a bounty of 2 million. Then, a D-rank young man came over to greet him, saying he was also called to make up the numbers and promised to protect Cheng Xiaoyu inside the dungeon. Cheng Xiaoyu could only laugh at the thought. Upon entering the dungeon, they found no monsters. Not long after they walked in, a large number of insects fell from the hole above. The team leader immediately used a taunt skill, and with everyone's cooperation, the insects were eliminated. While collecting magic stones, the team leader deduced that higher-level monsters must exist deeper inside based on the wounds on the insects. At the same time, Cheng Xiaoyu also sensed that things were not as simple as they seemed. As they went deeper, they found many half-dead monsters. In a cave not far ahead, they found a large number of mana stones, with each person able to make a small fortune. The young man, holding Cheng Xiaoyu's contract, confronted the team leader, arguing that the contract only mentioned not being able to obtain loot but did not specify how other items should be distributed. Therefore, Cheng Xiaoyu should also share in the mana stones. Old Huang promised to distribute them fairly, but before that, they had to move the mana stones out before defeating the cave spider. He then asked Cheng Xiaoyu and the young man to wait here while the others went back to the entrance to get tools. But in the next second, the team leader's attitude changed completely, and he ordered the mage to block the entrance with magic. The young man regretted mentioning the contract, and Cheng Xiaoyu knew that no matter how the situation evolved, they would be left here as bait, and the cave spider was awakened by the noise.